You can go back to 12 because I think you have the flexibility to, okay, we just traded from 4 to 12. Now we've got way more extra ammunition to trade back up from 12 that even if they wanted to get to 5,
8,
right? You could trade back up to 5.
In theory, you could. That is the Monty thing.
It's like having a sandwich named after you, having that draft maneuver named after you. It's the Monty. Yeah, I'll take a Monty, no mayo.
100%. You just phone. Okay, this phone's crossed. It's like Wolf of Wall Street when he's just selling penny stocks over and over again. Like Monty's just making moves.
He's like convincing him, like, this is a surefire quarterback that has both all pro and playoff potential. Like he says, where it's got both civilian and military potential. That's Monty Oxenford. All right, in 3, 2, 1. Welcome to the opening bell of the NFL Stock Exchange podcast. I'm Trevor Sikkema. That is Connor Rogers joining you guys on Draft Week, baby. You already heard it in the earlier episode that we had this week. The top 200 episode, if you guys missed it, go check it out on the YouTube channel. It's pretty fun. Connor and I'm going to be honest. Connor, this is fair, right? We went off the rails. I mean, you said what a stupid podcast this is. I think like an hour and a half into the show.
We have really lost our minds. Yeah, that was fresh off of me just finishing my top 301. And it's like, I haven't slept. I haven't ate like a normal human in 6 weeks. We podcast all the time for hour after hour. I've completely lost my mind. And it was a blast. It's my favorite open ever.
I was going to say, I hope that podcast was a peer behind the curtain or like full, like true. We say it all the time in this podcast, like the full transparency. I enjoy doing this podcast a lot. I hope that you do it as well. That was truly like we're so loopy. We've done so much content for the last like week and a half. Here's just, I'm talking NFL draft, my buddy. Anything that comes into my head, I am saying out loud like Ron Burgundy. And it felt like that was the episode that it was.
I said to Kristen after recording it, I was like, I'm starting to feel like DiCaprio in Shutter Island. I'm not sure if you've seen that, but like truly on the brink of like, I have no idea who I even am anymore. Scary. Yeah, times.
I should have just given you so what do we do now, boss? You know, at the end.
It would have been perfect. It would have been perfect.
All right, so in this episode, yes, we gave you the big board episode. This episode, we promise, is going to be just as fun. We're going to dig into all of the details as we give you our final predictive mock draft for the 2024 NFL Draft. Normally, Connor and I go back and forth. It's odds or evens. It's this or that as we run through a full first-round mock draft. But today, we're teaming up. We're teaming up to give you all of the insight, the feelings, the vibes, the sources to what we think these teams are actually going to do. For the Collab mock draft series, it was all about what we would do. Now it's about predicting what the NFL is going to do. Connor, very excited about this one. Obviously, I know that you've got a lot of good friends from around the league who either cover teams or within the league as well. And so this is, again, fun for me because I'm the same way, and we get to kind of collaborate here with what we're hearing to come out with this first-round mock draft. But it's that time of year, baby. I'm excited for this one. This is going to be fun.
Me too. It's the one where we truly get to work together. We did this last year. We had some hits. I think more importantly, we get to explain the process and talk through scenarios. I feel like so much of the mock draft world this week, actual draft week, is here's a graphic. Everybody reply to it. Either say why they're an idiot or why that can't happen or why they love it or whatever it is, and you just move on. It's like so junk food oriented. And I think this is a process of, hey, we might be wrong about what the Titans do at 7, but we're going to talk through different scenarios and how we got there and actually try to inform a little bit of the build up to that moment.
Yep, it's these mock drafts with a lot more context and a lot more conversation. So excited to get it going. Let's pull out the PFF mock draft simulator, and we can do exactly that. So we got a first round, picking all the teams here. Look, we can do trades in this mock. I don't know how many we're going to have happen. Actually,
I can tell you how many I had in my final one. So before we recorded this, I submitted my final mock draft to NBC.
Yeah,
I had one. I had one trade. And I know there'll be more, but
there's
the reality
definitely going
is
to be more.
There's going to be more than one. But when you start just trying to predict 5 different trades, like you could throw your mock draft completely off the rails. So I tried to really land like, okay, this player might not make it here, but he's a good fit with the team. And I even write in the blurbs, like, hey, I think this team's a candidate to move out, up, all this and that. But yeah, and we can do as many as you want here, but it's just one of those things where the final one, where you're trying to just be right about predictions, it is tough to just predict more than a handful of trades.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. If you ask me how many trades I think are going to happen round one, honestly, I'd guess like 3 or 4. Like, I think a lot of these bad boys are going to happen here in the first round. But for a predictive mock, it's hard to do all those, right? It's hard to actually do all of those trades. Instead, you want to think about what a team might be doing if they are actually on the clock at their pick. So we have the freedom to do trades here. I'm interested to see if you're really compelled, maybe in the one spot that you said that you had a trade in your written mock, if we get to that point. But let's kick it off. I don't think that this has to be overly complicated with number 1 overall. It feels like it's been wire to wire the same way. You just mentioned it. It's a free space. It's Caleb Williams going number 1 overall. And I think the draft really starts at number 2 here with Washington because, if you're somebody who cares a lot about what Las Vegas thinks and not the Raiders, I mean, the giant casino is built to the heavens. If you care what they think, they seem to be really honing in on Jaden Daniels as the number 2 overall pick here, Connor. What do you think?
I think so. I think it's pretty clear. It felt like there was some mini hurdles here. I mean, Jaden has even like Rossini wrote a good piece on The Athletic today, and that, a lot of the quotes in the tweet was that, we know he would love to be back with Antonio Pierce. Antonio Pierce recruited him to Arizona State, right? Like, there's a relationship there. Any quarterback would like to go play under Kevin O'Connell's offense in Minnesota and throw to Justin Jefferson. Like, this is the NFL draft. It's not free agency. And I had heard, Trevor, that even after, like the agent quote tweeted some stuff about the Topgolf and all the quarterbacks there at once. I heard after that, things really smoothed over. The visit was fine. I think Jaden Daniels is going number 2, and I would be pretty stunned by anything else at this point.
Yeah, even though Drake May, in his interview with Kevin Clark, said that he felt like he was swinging it better than anybody with the Topgolf.
That's probably right.
With the Topgolf trip. Apparently, that maybe is not the biggest piece of the pie when it comes to evaluating the quarterbacks here in this clash for Washington. And it does. I think that we've had this debate for months now of like, okay, does Cliff Kingsbury as the offensive coordinator, does that mean a lot in this scenario? Because if it does, then maybe Jaden does have that immediate connection or that easier connection, I think, with the Commanders. I did some research on some numbers earlier this morning. And we talk about the things that Jaden does well versus what he doesn't. And I don't want to necessarily say that he can't throw over the middle. He just was not asked to do it very often when he was at LSU. This past year, he had 30 attempts between 10 and 19 yards down the field in between the numbers, that true intermediate middle of the field. He had 30 passes out of 400 that were in that area. That's an extremely low percentage of your throws. And when you look at Cliff Kingsbury's offenses, well, a lot of his offenses were predicated around outside the numbers throws. I looked from 2019 to 2022, the years that Kingsbury was a head coach with the Arizona Cardinals. They were 23rd in the NFL over that time in throws over that intermediate middle of the field. They just didn't ask their quarterbacks to do it a lot. So a lot of this stuff is pretty much tailor-made to what Jaden does well. And so I can understand why there is a push in that way for him to be the number 2 overall pick. He had the best year in 2023, the styles comps, the rushing ability. I agree with you. I think we need to go Jaden Daniels here at number 2 in our predictive mock. Now, do you think that means that May goes number 3 here with the New England Patriots?
Yeah, I think it would have been even more clear-cut if they took May and then Jaden was there at 3. Like, New England, I think, would have ran that card in. I just think Trevor at 3, because it sounds like the Giants really love Drake May, as they should. If you look at what Brian Daboll does and what he likes.
Vikings too.
Sure. But at the end of the day, New England has to be thinking, if Brian Daboll and Kevin O'Connell like Drake May, who are we to trade out of here and pass on him? Like, what? Like, you ever wonder that? I'm sure that's the first thing Robert Kraft asked. He's like, well, these guys that are doing a better job than what we've done lately are in on him. So I think the Patriots are taking Drake May, and I think there was a lot of ownership influence to take a quarterback, and maybe they do get cute, and maybe they do flip out a couple spots and try to take one of the next guys, but when you just apply logic, like, it's just That just feels so. That feels like taking the no tolls route. Like you get in the car with your dad, and he's like, we're gonna go this way, and you're like, why did we add 75 minutes onto the trip? Like this is just really just doesn't make any sense. That would be trading out of this spot.
It's a scenic route, Connor. You're seeing America. You're seeing parts you've never seen.
100%. I've been in many of those car rides. So I think the Patriots take Drake May at 3.
I do too. And I've said it before on this podcast, and I keep going back to it. I don't think that Gerard Mayo says after his introductory press conference, we're going to take a very important player at a very important position. Sorry, a very talented player at a very important position, and I'll let you fill in the blanks. He's talking about a quarterback back in January. And the only way that they say that is if they feel confident with all 3 quarterbacks in this draft, knowing that they're picking at number 3. Jaden Daniels, Drake May, and Caleb Williams. If one of those 3 is on the board, I cannot imagine they trade out of it. I know, I really can't. I get it. Elliot Wolf's been kind of mysterious with, they're going to take calls and they certainly could trade back. And yeah, that's true. But in my opinion, the only factor here that would have taken me away from Drake May from the Patriots if he was on the board is Robert Kraft loves Tom Brady, right? Tom Brady.
What's not to love? Made him a lot of money.
Tom Brady played football at the University of Michigan. If Tom Brady were to sit there and really advocate with Robert Kraft for J.J. McCarthy, like if Brady really believed in McCarthy, and I have no idea if this is true or not, but again, this is the only way that I would have found it to be not Drake May at number 3, is if Brady really caved for J.J. McCarthy to Robert Kraft, and Kraft went, you know what? Last time we got a good Michigan quarterback, it worked out pretty well for us. Let's go J.J. McCarthy here. So unless he were to really override that decision because of some sentimental connection, I also think that it's going to be Drake May here. So I think we should go with him at number 3.
I'm with you all the way. We see eye to eye on the first 3 picks. And I would imagine we do the same for pick number 4, but I'll kind of leave that in your lap. Like it feels like Monty Ossenfort would prefer to take the floor here. And who has a better floor in this draft than Marvin Harrison Jr.?
Did you read Bruce Feldman's NFL Draft Confidential from The Athletic? It's a lot of sources, whether it's scouts or offensive assistants or...
I'm pretty sure it came out not recently, right?
No, I think it was...
not this week, I'm saying.
Within the last week, for sure. But anyways, so he talks about why... He actually opens up the piece saying, I was originally going to talk about quarterbacks to start this off because quarterbacks obviously are the thing that we talk about. But then he said, and then I started to talk about these wide receivers to people within the league. And I had to kick off my article by talking about that because he had way more people than he thought he was going to who have Malik Neighbors as wide receiver 1 in this draft. Like, we're talking about wide receiver coaches. We're talking about assistant coaches. We're talking about scouts that he interviewed. So many of these guys have Malik Neighbors as wide receiver 1 in this draft. And because of that, and because of Monty Ossenfort's willingness to trade like we saw last year, I don't think the Cardinals are picking at 4. Now,
interesting.
I don't really know what team makes sense here.
Because so this is the issue I always run into.
Because Daniel Jeremiah, Dane Brugler, Albert Breer, y'all listening to this podcast, you know those names. Those are guys who are very plugged into the league.
Yeah.
Jeremiah tweeted out, I don't really think, actually, I think this was a quote from an interview that he did. He said, I don't think the Giants are in on J.J. McCarthy. I don't think that he is.
In New York, I've heard the same thing for whatever it's worth.
So you hear the same thing.
Yeah, Brugler
said that he heard the same thing. So we can't just sit here and go, okay, well, the Vikings are going to trade up for McCarthy because McCarthy's left. Well, sorry, the Giants to be the one to trade up is what I really meant to say, because then the Cardinals don't have to move back that far. Now, the bigger question to me then becomes, okay, well, are the Vikings interested? Because if the Vikings are in on J.J. McCarthy, which, I'm going to be honest, I think the Vikings want May. And if May is not available, I am not convinced that the Vikings trade up to 4 or 5. I'm not.
Same. I heard the Vikings did not. Here's what happened with that. They acquired pick 23. So every single person in the media said, well, now they have to trade up. And I get that logic. When they first did it, that was my logic. And then when I made calls 2 weeks ago about it, like reliable people were like, they did that to have the ability to trade up.
Right.
Audric Estime, Ryan, Elliot Wolf. They were like,
anybody who didn't listen to the last episode just
why did they
nearly crashed their car.
And you're not getting an explanation. You are not getting an explanation. You have to go back and watch the first 40 seconds. It's not hard.
You heard us right. Audric Estime.
So they don't have to move. What's the worst case? The Vikings come out of round 1 with 2 good players? Oh, no. How did this happen?
So that is an underrated part of this that I don't think enough people are talking about. The Vikings made that trade, but you got to realize good organizations don't make deals before deals because they understand that if something falls through, they've absolutely screwed themselves over. The Vikings only make that deal with the Texans to get 23 if they are genuinely comfortable staying at 11 and 23. And I think they are because this draft class is good. It's a good class. You don't know if next year's class is going to be good. In fact, early reports say it's not as good as this class right now. It's
not this one. Yeah.
So why would you not want 2 first-round picks in this class? So that's where I'm coming from. So that is where I go. My gut says Arizona's not picking at 4. But the reports are that the Giants aren't that interested in J.J. McCarthy. And the Vikings really wanted May and are comfortable enough, if they don't get him, to still pick at 11 and 22. So who's trading up to 4? I don't know.
This is the issue, Trevor. I don't have the... And if you're Arizona, can you go back to 12? I wouldn't.
You can go back to 12 because I think you have the flexibility to, okay, we just traded from 4 to 12. Now we've got way more extra ammunition to trade back up from 12 that even if they wanted to get to 5,
8,
right? You could trade back up to 5 and do that at that point.
In theory, you could. That is the Monty thing.
Right.
That's interesting.
It's like having a sandwich name. It's like having a sandwich named after you. Having that draft maneuver named after you. It's the Monty. Yeah, I'll take a Monty. No mayo.
100%. That's phone. Okay, this phone's crossed. It's like, this is a big DiCaprio pod today. It's like Wolf of Wall Street when he's just selling penny stocks over and over again. Like Monty's just making moves.
All right, you have inspired me. I need to clip that tonight because if that happens, if he makes a move tomorrow night, I'm clipping that. And it's just him on the phone selling that bullshit stock to that guy for like $40,000. Like that's gonna
absolute garbage. I'll take 40.
Monty Austin for.
I'll take 10,000 shares of this penny stock.
He's like convincing him like this is a surefire quarterback that has both all pro and playoff potential. Like he says, where it's got both civilian and government, and military potential.
You can tell you and I like that movie way too much. I think about that movie all the time, and I feel like a lot of people are like, that movie is stupid. I like that movie way too much, and clearly you share the appreciation as I do.
All right, so I just want to be on record that I feel like my gut tells me Arizona doesn't make this pick, but after talking it out with you, you should probably just pick Marvin Harrison here.
Right. I mean, it's safe money.
You're not gonna push the Malik agenda.
It's weird because I get it. There's a lot of people I really respect that have talked about this. I know because I co-hosted with Sims this time of year plenty of times. I believe on his pod he's talked about it. I know he had Neighbors as his number 1. I know Lance Zierlein has tweeted before anyone like, hey, a lot of people like Malik too. Like this isn't cut and dried, far away Marv. And you brought up, Feldman's piece. I think there is also like a little bit of a perception thing with Arizona where they're like, are we going to be the team to pass on Marvin Harrison Jr.? Like, do we want to be that team? That's real. People laugh at that stuff, but it's not as real with football people. It's very real with owners. Because then if you're wrong, they go down and they go, well, you're fired because you thought you were smarter than everyone else and didn't do this. So I still think it's Marv. I understand though why Malik is a sleeping giant in this scenario.
Let's do Marvin Harrison Jr. then as our prediction here. I still, because here's another thing. I go back to how Marvin Harrison Jr. handled this draft season, and part of me really does think that some team representative picking very high, whether it was Arizona or not, was like, "Hey, buddy, you don't need to do anything."
That's interesting.
We're going to pick you. I don't care. We don't care what you run. We don't care all of this stuff. You don't have to do all of this stuff. We're going to pick you. I wonder.
That's really interesting.
I wonder if that happened. We'll go MHA here at number 4 for the Arizona Cardinals, but a trade could be obviously very interesting. Trade conversation still right here with the Los Angeles Chargers at number 5. But
right,
who's trading up for what?
I know, because the Chargers, I'm still locked in on O-line for them.
I'm gonna be honest, man. I think it's O-line.
Yeah, I think it's me too.
O-line. I think it's Joe.
And I hope. Yeah, you think it's all?
Go ahead.
Well, I mean, if they take Neighbors, good for them. I think Neighbors is worth this pick. Let me just be clear about that. I don't see any indication that they'll just take Malik Neighbors here. Now, who the O-line is, I think, is where this conversation becomes extremely convoluted.
Mm-hmm. I kind of think it's Latham.
Me too. He was who I put in my written mock draft.
I think he's who I am also going to have in my written mock draft. I think it's going to be Latham.
Mauling right tackle that plugs in.
Here's why, and I think, look, Charger fans are going to be mad at us, and obviously we're just kind of trying to predict here, so don't necessarily shoot the bench.
Yeah, I wouldn't do this. I don't know what you want me to say. This isn't what I would do.
Yeah. Shoot Connor, obviously. Don't shoot me. Look, Jim Harbaugh wants to run the football, right? Jim Harbaugh also wants to run a smash mouth style of football. Wants to run a lot of counter, a lot of man, a lot of gap scheme stuff.
Yes.
I understand that Chargers fans for a long time have been like, Trey Pipkins is fine. You can leave him at right tackle. He is fine. Trey Pipkins' PFF run blocking grade on man gap blocking concepts last year was 35.7. It's just not his game. He is not that mauler at right tackle that you have to really set the tone and set the edge as an offensive tackle running the football north to south. He's just not that smash mouth type of an offensive lineman. J.C. Latham is. He absolutely is. That is what he is all about. And it started a couple of weeks ago. The whispers of Latham. You talked about it on this show a couple of weeks ago. The whispers of J.C. Latham. And I don't know whether it's at number 5 or if it's them trading down, but I think we should put Latham to the Chargers.
Easy agree for me. Agree for me. It's just,
all right.
I was sitting there smiling during your rant, and I get it. Pipkins is better than the general public realizes, but it's funny picturing Jim Harbaugh standing in the room, the solo man meme, just above everyone going, "We can't take J.C. Latham. We have Trey Pipkins." And the room just applauds and goes crazy and says, "Yeah, we have Trey Pipkins." And everybody, the happy music and credits roll down on the draft.
All right, let's do it. We're locking it in. Latham's at 5. Giants now at 6. So McCarthy is still on the board, obviously, but you and I talked about we don't think McCarthy's going to be the guy for them at 6.
No, I think this would be Malik Neighbors, in my opinion. What do you think?
Malik or Rome, I truly,
right, yeah, good point.
I don't know who they're going to like better. We've talked about it on this show. If you want the guy who's got more standout elite traits, you're going to pick Neighbors. But if you like the wide receivers in your room, Rome gives you a prototype that you don't have. So you view him as more of a compliment. And I think that they would probably see an all-pro ceiling in both of these players. So if that's being the case, I would say Malik here. All that to say, I would still say Malik because I genuinely think a lot of people in the league are split with Neighbors or Marvin Harrison Jr. as wide receiver 1, and I don't think we're having those same conversations with Rome Odunze. So if the Giants were to pick Rome at 6, they would be, it seems like, one of just a few teams that would have him above Malik Neighbors. Whereas the other way around, I'm a lot more confident.
Yeah, for me, it's Malik Neighbors. I understand, like, there's something about Rome that's very presidential, the way he carries himself and like that. And the Giants definitely gravitate at times towards guys like that. But when you look at what Dable wants to do on offense and the ability of Neighbors to line up everywhere and use him in motion and be this explosive player with and without the ball, I just can't see. Don't get me wrong. I can see a world where they talk themselves into a Dunze, but I will definitely gravitate towards Neighbors in this spot at 6.
I would agree. 10 years after they drafted another LSU wide receiver who worked out pretty well for him.
10
a decade
years
later.
Ago. God.
Malik Neighbors to the Giants at 6. Titans at 7.
Easy peasy, right?
I think so. Outside of a trade down, I think so.
Yeah, and they will answer the phone here. I've heard that, but it's a weird spot. I guess you can argue with both Atlanta and them interesting in answering the phone. Like, is there a better bargain here for one of the big 3 from 11 to 13 to come into this spot?
So this is my big brain. I guess I should say, like, outside shot for a trade up. I do look at 7 and 8 similarly to you, and I think that both of these teams want to trade down. I look at the Colts at 15, and I understand that Ballard has not often traded up. I read an article from Zach Hicks on Sports Illustrated that looked over the Ballard trades that he's made as general manager since 2017, and it was as I expected because I wanted to actually look up the numbers to this, and it was what I thought. Ballard doesn't really trade up. He's kind of like Jason Light in that regard. He's only traded up 4 times over the last, 7 years? And none of them have been in the first round. And instead, he's got 11 trade down. So, like, Ballard always likes to trade down. Like, Ballard's even said himself, like, I just like to trade down. But you have Shane Steichen as your offensive head coach now. You drafted Anthony Richardson at 4 last year. You re-signed Michael Pittman. You drafted Josh Downs. You brought back Jonathan Taylor. The offensive line's getting better. Like, you are clearly on an offensive emphasis here. You've got the chance to trade with Tennessee, who doesn't have a third-round pick right now at number 7. You could give them a third-round pick and move up and go get Brock Bowers. Like, a guy that truly reshapes your offense in an incredible way for Anthony Richardson. And I wonder if they do it. I don't want to predict that here on this show.
Right.
But I just want to throw that out, that I think the Colts could be a sneaky team that never really trades up to, just because of where they are in their winning window and where they're at right now, and watching what the Texans did last year, and obviously with the Jags still having Trevor Lawrence and being able to turn it around at any moment with him, and you look at those teams and you go, we gotta stay pace with them, and we drafted a quarterback at 4 overall to be able to do that. Let's give him another elite talent in Brock Bowers. So I wonder if that ends up happening, but ultimately it's kind of hard to predict trades, like you said, just for accuracy standpoint in the integrity of the mock. So if not, then I think it's got to be Joe Alt, right?
Yep.
Easy enough. No objections from you. Now, what do you think about the Falcons at 8?
I think obviously it goes back to the combo we just had where they're going to make calls probably from 11 to 13. But at the end of the day, if I'm picking a player here, I just lean to Dallas Turner every time. I look at the way Raheem Morris wants to use that kind of player, the athleticism, what they need, the fact that they're most likely going to be the first team to take a defensive player in this draft. I'm sure they can potentially get Turner at 11 to 13, maybe, but I don't know if they'll find the capital they want to move out of this spot. I just connect those two all the time.
So I just looked this up. It's now even on FanDuel between Dallas Turner and Laiatu Latu to go number 8. They are even odds.
Wow, that's a big rise for Latu.
They are both plus 250 now. Yeah, it's huge. That's huge.
Wow, even crazy.
Yes, I have to plug in my computer. So, is that crazy to hear that with Latu? And I'm gonna go plug in my computer, and we're just gonna make it movie magic, and we're just gonna keep the podcast rolling.
So, goodbye, Trevor. Goodbye. I think it's not crazy because here's the thing with Latu. Like, Latu isn't universally in the top 15 of mock drafts and has nothing to do with talent. Everything with Latu is there's just varying comfort of his medicals. Latu is the guy, and I won't get too far into that road. That's not really something I'm comfortable with broadcasting. But the easiest way to put it is there's different comfort levels team by team with his medical situation. There's not really a lot of variance in how people evaluate the player. The evaluation of the player is that he's a really good pass rusher. That is the very rare, close to pro-ready pass rusher. That's very uncommon for a prospect. It's a position that takes a while for guys to get going. And if a team is more comfortable with his medical than others, well, the talent level justifies a top 12 to 15 selection. So I still think it's going to be Dallas Turner, though. And I have okay confidence in that spot, unless somebody really jumped ahead of them because they knew that.
Yeah, I think that Jimmy Lake, the defense coordinator for the Atlanta Falcons, also has a connection with Latu, both in high school, I believe, and also while they were both at Washington. So I think that connection there, if he really loves Latu, makes a lot of sense. So obviously I missed most of that rant plugging in my computer, but do you still you want to go with Dallas Turner here? I'm really torn. I really don't know. I think both of these guys would be fantastic, and it's a coin flip, but I think it's going to be one of those two guys.
Right. Yeah, I lean more Turner, but I have no problem if you want your guy here. Once again, I'm very flexible in this spot. I do think it'll be defense.
Let's go Latu, man. I think the connection, I think the Jimmy Lake connection, obviously Raheem brought Jimmy Lake in to be the defense coordinator. He's going to trust him there. If Lake has anything good to say with Latu at all, which I think he's going to.
We'll know, right? Like, we'll know.
Right. I'm going to go Latu at 8. I think the money, it being even money with those guys really tells you that some stuff's happening behind the scenes. I'm going Latu at 8. Bears at 9. Easy, right? Super. Well, do you believe the Byron Murphy hype at number 9 overall?
I don't think it's nuts. I don't think it's crazy at all. It's just weird to picture them. Here's the problem with this, Trevor. Here's the problem with this. If they pass on Rome Odunze, doesn't it just throw everything into complete hell?
I mean, not really, because the Jets draft him at 10, right?
The Jets have to take him. The Jets have to take him.
Yeah, for as much as I really do believe that Eberflus is still looking for that like dominant 3 technique defensive tackle to really be the centerpiece of his defense, I just don't know if they could pass on Rome Odunze. I think
I still lean Rome. I still lean Rome.
I do too.
This is the late entry one where you're like, oh, this is really late. Like, it could happen, but I'm still going to go with my original gut.
All right, me too. Rome Odunze, 9 to the Chicago Bears. Jets at 10. You tell me, man. What do you think?
Oh, boy, if I had $1 for this question every time. The Jets are difficult this year, and I put this in my mock draft because they are one of the true teams that is open to going up in the right situation, like this one where Odunze falls to 9, or for Neighbors or for Marv. Probably going to be hard to do that. They're open to going down because they don't have a second-round pick, and they want that pick back. Everybody in the world thinks they're taking Brock Bowers at 10. I lean more, if they're at 10 in this exact scenario, that it would be Taliza Fuanga. That they would go offensive line. They would be thinking long-term. The plan for Fuanga, I would be curious to hear from them on that. Is he going to start at guard? Are you going to move AVT back to left guard? Fuanga plays right guard, and Simpson goes to the bench. We've had that conversation when we mocked Fatanu here as well. I think a lot of people see Fuanga as a long-term tackle, which the Jets don't have a tackle under contract after this year. I mean, listen, would I be shocked if they took Bowers? No. There's not really a lot of picks that would shock me in this scenario. But if I have to make the pick, the guy I'm the most confident in right now is Taliza Fuanga.
I'm all for it. I'm not going to push back against you. That's my boy. Going top 10, I'd absolutely love to see it. I would love to see it. So there we go. I'm trusting you on this one. We're going to Taliza Fuanga at number 10. Vikings don't trade up in our mock draft, so they're sitting here at 11. Now, J.J. McCarthy is still here. So this could obviously be an easy J.J. McCarthy spot because they don't have to trade up to go get him. You also don't have to have the conversations of like, oh, is he worth all this draft capital? Like, no, it's one pick. It's number 11. It's outside the top 10 even. But there's been some talk of them liking May a lot. Now, does that mean that they don't like McCarthy? Not sure, because we don't really hear the other end of the coin. We just hear that they like May. We've also heard that they like Nix, right? And they could like Nix a lot. So are they more comfortable saying, hey, let's take a major difference-making player at a different position here at 11 and see if we can get Nix at 23? What did you end up doing for your written mock here at 11?
I mean, a lot of people are going to groan. And to be fair, in this scenario, in my written mock, I had the Broncos trade up to 8 with Atlanta to take McCarthy. Mm-hmm. And then I had the Vikings take Penix over Nix.
Okay.
And I know, like, I get it. Like, I'm probably at this point the Penix guy with him as QB3. I think
he's going round 1, though.
Yeah.
He's going round 1. He's going round 1.
I think he's going top 16.
Going top 16. I'd buy it.
Yeah.
I'd buy it.
So now this scenario is a little funky because I didn't have McCarthy on the board in my situation. I'm not, but like, you nailed this in the open. It feels like everybody's just sinking their teeth into McCarthy and the Vikings, and I never got there. I think there's less clarity for me on that. I was with you. Like, I think like Drake May with the talent makes a lot of sense, and his strengths is just no entry point. And we think there's not an entry point right now. So the batch it feels like the Vikings are working with are potentially McCarthy, Penix, and Nix. Schematically, I think Penix is the best fit amongst those guys.
I don't know if Penix goes above McCarthy.
Yeah, this worked out a little bit different than my written one.
Right. I think we should go McCarthy here at 11.
I'm fine with it. I still am not really buying that they are into McCarthy like the general media has made it seem to be, where I see people like the Vikings are probably going to trade to 5 for J.J. McCarthy. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'm not really like buying that. Like, it feels like everybody has gotten into.
Yeah, because I'm trying to think of what would happen in this scenario. And, I think interior defensive tackle's a big need for the Vikings as well. So you've got Byron Murphy here, and I think Byron Murphy's going to be a top 15 pick. So the Vikings could certainly be a landing spot for him there. But would the Vikings really, with McCarthy still on the board at 11, and even I'll throw in Michael Penix and Bo Nix into that conversation as well, even with pick 23, are they really going to sit there at 11 and say, yeah, let's get cute with the quarterback position?
No, you can't.
Not pick one at 11 and then wait to 23. No, you can't do that.
You have 2 teams sitting behind you that are probably taking quarterbacks. How could you do that?
Right. You can't do that. I think we should pick McCarthy here for the Vikings. If it falls like this, I think they'd take him at 11.
So how do the next 2 go? Do you think it's chalk and it's quarterback?
No. I feel like the Broncos are going to move back. I really feel like
the Broncos move back and still end up with Bo.
Yes, that's kind of how. That's kind of what I think.
That's gained steam, and it makes sense.
And I think somebody's going to trade up for an offensive tackle. I feel like at this spot, right? We've had 3 go off the board, but like there's so many other good offensive tackles that are still there. Troy Fautanu is still here. Olu Fashanu is still here. Amarius Mims, like these guys are good, man. And I think I feel like they're all going top 20.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yep. Our first trade.
Saints desperately need one. It doesn't really change anything. Bengals could. I guess the Dolphins could.
Eagles could.
I still like this Eagles Broncos trade.
So Quinyon Mitchell to the Eagles, right?
Oh, yeah, it could be. Or would they just wait for corner? No, if somebody's going to move up, I think it's going to be for an offensive lineman. And if nobody's moving for an offensive lineman, then I don't think there's really a move to be made.
It's tricky. Trading down
tricky.
is not as easy as everybody cracks it up to be.
Yeah. You think Bowers goes here? I hear Bowers to the Broncos a lot. It seems pretty
So they're really going to go into
though.
the season with Jarrett Stidham and Zach Wilson and Ben DiNucci?
I mean, when you put it like that.
They don't have a second-round pick.
I know. Which is what makes trading up difficult, too. You know?
Yeah. No, you're right. You're absolutely right.
That part's also difficult.
Unless they just nuke it and trade Surtain, which I find to be insane.
No, they're not going to do that. They're not going to.
I would never say not going to do that about Sean Payton. I think he's a hard brain to figure out, but I don't think it's going to happen.
That's true. All right, Nixon and Penix.
Yeah.
All right.
I think we're on the right path. I want to say we're on the right path here.
Nix at 12, Penix at 13. There.
Yeah. I think we're on the right path. I don't like there'll be movement, but I think the position groups and the quarterbacks going isn't insane.
Saints at 14.
It has to be tackle.
Has to be offensive tackle, in my opinion.
Olu?
Or Mims.
Not easy to figure out.
And Mims is like very New Orleans type.
I thought the same thing. I did put Olu in mind, but when I was done with it, I was like, I could easily see themselves talking them into Amarius Mims.
Has Mims taken a visit with them?
It's probably been a busy man. Let's take a look.
Let's see.
I don't know.
Packers hosted him. Let's see. Visit tracker. Live on the show, reading off visit trackers. Wait, did Bo Nix meet with the Denver Broncos?
I'm almost sure he did.
No, but Michael Penix did.
I know Penix did.
Interesting. Very interesting. Okay, where's the New Orleans Saints? God, they brought in nobody according to this. Christian Boyd, Dylan Lobb.
Some of these teams really hide it.
Keon Coleman. Chop Robinson.
Besides the Jets, I know 25 of the Jets' 30 visits.
Well, that's just because you're a man in the know. I think we should go Amarius Mims here. He's their type.
I'm with you. Okay.
I think he's their type. Either that or Fautanu. Oh,
I'm fine with Mims. What they view as a true tackle.
Yeah.
And then it makes 15, in my opinion, very easy because you already read that one off.
15 is who? 15 is
Brock Bowers.
Yeah. Super easy. If he makes it to 15, obviously I talked about them trading up for Brock Bowers. So if he makes it to 15, then it's easy. I mean, 16 is also incredibly easy now.
Fautanu, right?
Yes.
I think so too.
If he's on the board for the Seahawks, I think that's a slam dunk.
Yeah, his offensive coordinator's there. Low moving costs.
See, that's what it's all about, people. Jags at 17.
Corner.
Quignon, right?
Yep.
I think it's got to be Quignon. I don't even know who else we're having this conversation about.
Terrion Arnold, but I wouldn't.
Yeah, Arnold. I guess so. All right, because I don't think it just doesn't feel. The league likes this wide receiver class, but I don't know if they love it outside of the top three. You know,
they like the depth of it.
Yeah, but I just hear so many, like, even when we get to Brian Thomas Jr. and A.D. Mitchell and Lab McConkey, like, it's just a pros and cons list. Outside of the top three, I could see a lot of these teams just letting these guys slide down the board and be like, we'll get a wide receiver later. And I think because of that, you're going to see wide receiver 4 get picked later.
I'm on corner for the Jags.
Okay. And you think Quignon over Terrion?
Yes.
All right. Quignon Mitchell.
This one has to be Byron Murphy, right?
If Murphy makes to 18, it feels like
it's a lot, like, no guarantee that he does, but in this scenario, it has to be him.
Yeah, I feel like that's true.
I've heard he'll go over Newton. That's what gives me the confidence here.
Yes. Man, according to this list, the Bengals have brought in a lot of defensive tackles, but none of like the early guys. Mason Smith, Devondre Sweat, Justin Rogers, Jackson McKinley, Jawan Briggs. None of the early guys,
they met with all at the combine.
Yeah, probably.
Rams at 19.
Rams at 19.
I think I had a surprise pick here in my mock.
Oh, who was it?
Brian Thomas Jr.
No, I think I hate it.
I mean, I'm sure you do.
All right, sell me.
Dream about.
Sell me. All right, sell me this pen.
I mean, I love what Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua could do in the intermediate of the field. And this is a team that wants to run the ball, of course. But they don't have somebody like, and there's not many of humans on planet Earth like this, in Brian Thomas Jr. that can stretch the field the way he does. And the long term of this offense, while it will be Puka Nacua, there's no guarantee the long term of this offense is Cooper Kupp, right? So when you're thinking of being as explosive as you can at the end of Matthew Stafford's career and at the end of Cooper Kupp's peak, I look at it and go, well, this is the answer to that.
I could see him being on their board. I don't know if they'd pick him, though.
What do you like here, though, is what I actually want to know. They are very difficult to figure out.
Yeah, defense for them, honestly.
So Turner and Latu are gone.
Actually, I'm looking at their depth chart right now. I guess they brought in Darius Williams.
Turner's not gone in this scenario. You had Latu go.
Oh, yeah, right.
So this has to be Dallas Turner.
Yeah, it's got to be Dallas Turner. Yes.
Don't think he makes it there.
All right, we're gonna put Dallas Turner to the Los Angeles Rams because I think if he makes it there, he's or Olu. Or Olu. I think I like Olu more.
Okay.
Where's Turner going if he's not going to the Falcons? You tell me.
The Broncos would be in play. The Seahawks would be in play.
Yeah.
And then a trade up.
I agree with you. It's almost crazy to have the conversation about one of these guys going in the top 10, and then we're sitting here at 19 and he's still on the board, and you go, okay, how did this happen?
That's why the Falcons want to trade.
Right. I don't know where. That's why it does make a lot of sense for the Falcons to trade down in this mock.
Right.
All right, Rams going Dallas Turner. He's too good.
Okay.
Too athletic. Too much potential. They need a pass rusher too badly. Steelers 20. Arnold.
Right, that or tackle. There's a shot they take tackle here too.
Are they going to draft a tackle though? I feel like they should, but they're not going to.
I think they might.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. I do.
Well, who though? Because Olu has only played left, and they've got Broderick Jones.
Can't Broderick play right? No, Broderick would play right.
I didn't think Broderick played right, did he?
Yeah, I thought he did.
Am I losing it?
Are we losing our minds? Let me check this. I want to make sure. This because it's going to bother me now.
I did not think he played. Oh no, he did play right. All right, I'm an idiot.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, you're right.
It's
you're
not
right.
crazy thing to mix up.
You're right. I feel like they're too confident on Dan Moore Jr. though. I don't think they're going offensive tackle. I think they're going corner.
Okay. I definitely disagree, but I will go the other way.
Is that because you think that's what they should do, or you feel like, because I don't really have like I've heard that they would do this kind of a thing.
I don't have a good feel for the Steelers. I just go by historical trends, and I look at their needs at wide receiver and center, and yes, they have a need at corner, but it's more likely they can get those things. They cannot get a tackle after this pick. Like, they can't. There's no way. And I think people are really drinking the Kool-Aid way too much on some of these day 2 tackles. Like, the shit I read about Kingsley Suamataia makes my jaw hit the floor. I mean, don't get me wrong. Guy's a lot of talent. He is not NFL ready next year.
Oh, I agree. I agree with that. I don't know if they think that offensive tackle is that big of a problem.
Man,
I haven't
the two
really heard any
quarterbacks
of
they
that.
have. You better be right. Now, I'll say this, Trevor. In all my scenarios, I don't just have Terrion Arnold sitting here staring them in the face. So that kind of changes some things.
I think it's Arnold or Brian Thomas Jr.
Man, the day they take a first-round wide receiver.
So then it's Terrion Arnold.
Yeah, it's Terrion Arnold.
Okay. Arnold to the Steelers at 20. Miami at 21. I wish this was Johnny Newton.
I think it's Verse.
Yeah. That would make sense.
You had season-ending injuries to Bradley Chubb and Jalen Phillips last year, and Van Ginkel left in free agency.
Yep. I don't really make this connection very often, but I think that it makes a lot of sense. Now, is that enough with Olu on the board? Would they say no?
Because man, getting a read on who likes Olu is the hardest thing in this entire draft.
Yeah.
But
he's hella athletic.
So I love Olu.
We know that Miami would be in on that.
Yeah, I think Olu would be a great pick here.
I think we should pick Olu because they don't know how much longer Teron Armstead's going to do it, and I think Fashanu is really good to learn behind Armstead and maybe play one of the other interior positions while he can. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's go Fashanu here. 21. Eagles at 22. I don't think they pick DeJean.
I don't either. It'd be kind of awesome if they did.
I feel like they'd pick Wiggins.
I think I had them take Wiggins. Let me check. Yeah, I think they were definitely a trade candidate. Yes, I had them take Wiggins.
Yeah, I think this is a Wiggins spot. I don't think it's a guarantee. Like, I'm not locked into it, but he just seems like their type, and if they're going to take corner, it's going to be at that spot.
Yeah.
They don't need Newton. They don't need another edge rusher. Maybe offensive line, but that would be...
They need a corner badly.
They do need a corner badly. All right, Nate Wiggins, 22, the Eagles. 23, Minnesota Vikings. Got McCarthy at 11. God. Newton, please?
This is where it starts for Newton.
Right?
Yes. Absolutely. This is where it starts for Newton.
I'm just annoyed that Newton, we're talking about him like this.
If you're Brian Flores and you throw Johnny Newton into that front, like, it's insane compared to what they had last year.
I would agree. I agree.
It's Newton.
Let's do it. Let's manifest it. I'm manifesting it. Jer'Zhan Newton, 23 to Minnesota Vikings. 24 to the Dallas Cowboys.
Tricky one.
Yeah. So I'll tell you what would happen here. Yeah, actually, I would have told you this. I would have told you this for 23 as well, maybe even 22. I think Tampa trades up at this point.
Okay, and they're going to get Verse.
Yeah, Jason Light doesn't do it very often. Like, he's like Chris Ballard. He just does not trade very often up because he likes his draft picks. But this team needs a pass rusher so bad. And
let's do it.
I think Tampa would have traded to, and like we don't have to do this. Like we can live in a world where the Cowboys can pick whoever. Like the Cowboys can pick Graham Barton, the Packers can pick Cooper DeJean, and then we can have Jared Verse go to the Bucs at 26. But in all reality, if Jared Verse, or I'm going to be honest, if Jared Verse or Leatu Latu are there and it's picked 21, 22, 23, whatever, I think Tampa's calling. I think Tampa's trying to get up. They're gonna go get one of those guys.
You know I'll lean on you for this one. And in my final mock, I had them get Latu.
Okay. So let's just, for the sake of just like keeping the mock uniform, do you think the Cowboys would take Graham Barton here? I feel like they should.
I am puzzled on this one. I think it would be between Barton or Guyton.
Guyton?
I know. It's kind of like what you get now versus what you could get later. Barton, they are a win now team, and Barton upgrades them the most now.
Another 2014 draft anniversary story. 10 years ago, Jerry Jones passed on the temptation of drafting Johnny Manziel for Zach Martin, and it kind of worked out for him. So I wonder if maybe in a sentimental spirit, they remind him that, hey, 10 years ago, you took a guard and it wasn't very flashy and he's going to be in the Hall of Fame one day. You could do that with Graham Barton.
Tyler Money Manziel Guyton. I'm with you, though. I'll roll with Barton here.
Okay, let's go Graham Barton to the Cowboys at 24. DeJean to the Packers at 25. Gotta have it. Gotta have it. Bucs get Verse, and again, like they're getting him at 26. You know that we here on this podcast like Verse more than that. I think that Verse, if he's still on the board early 20s, the Bucs are calling up. The Bucs are calling up for him. Who do we have left at offensive tackle? Because I'm going to give you something that I think happens.
Okay.
Washington's got 2 second-round picks.
Correct.
I think they use one of them to get up for an offensive tackle. I think they trade back up.
Jordan Morgan or Tyler Guyton?
It's Suamatia, Morgan, Guyton, whoever I think they like the most between those three guys. I think it might be Jordan Morgan, to be honest with you.
That's what makes sense to me.
I don't know who the team is to do it, but I know they have to get in front of the Ravens because I think the Ravens really want an offensive tackle, and I think the Chiefs also want an offensive tackle. So if Washington's going to do it, it's going to be these next two picks. It's going to be the Cardinals or it's going to be the Bills. I don't know if the Bills are in a spot to be able to trade down.
Bills would sit and take a wide receiver.
I think so too. So then, where's Washington?
What pick is it going to be for?
Probably 36. And this trade is lopsided.
Yeah, I'm getting crushed by the simulator right now.
I just think that I think that maybe it's the Lions.
Lions could trade out. Ravens could trade out.
I think the Ravens want to tackle though. So if one's on the board for Washington to trade up, I don't think they're gonna. I don't think they'll move from that spot.
Well, look, we know the Cardinals will move if they feel it's helpful.
Right.
To them, they don't care. And you could really jump up and down the board when your roster is very, work in progress-esque. What's the trade, though?
Yeah.
Well, let's see. Let's pull up the old Rich Hill chart. So Arizona's pick 216. Washington's 36 is all right, 166 and 216. So we need to make up the difference of 60 points.
60 points, that's it.
So you can just argue it's pick 6. It's 67.
I think they'd probably rather do it in next year's draft, right? Because the Cardinals have so many picks this year.
Oh, yeah. Unless the Cardinals send back like 186.
Sure. Yeah.
That makes some sense
36,
to me.
a fourth rounder, 27, 186.
Yep.
No, I don't know if they'd do that.
162 or 138? 138. So 36 and 67 from Washington for 27 and 138 from Arizona. That makes a lot of sense to me.
All right, read that off again.
All right, so Washington sends pick 36 and 67.
Yep. Okay.
Arizona is sending 27 and 136.
Okay, we have
138. 138. That's my bad. No, I had it wrong because I'm an idiot.
Oh, okay. So then they have 36, 35, 66, 67. Dang. That's kind of nice.
Hot sauce. Yeah, when you have a blank roster, you could actually just start filling in spots.
Okay. Oh, trade is a 66% chance to be accepted. All right, so it's pretty much a
passing score in high school.
Trade accepted. Washington's on the board. All right.
You love to see it.
Offensive tackle.
The classic us. We made the trade. Now what?
Yeah, I just think they're going to move up for an offensive tackle. It's just a matter of which one. I feel like Kingsley Suamataia is getting a lot of buzz.
Ugh.
Or is it just Jordan Morgan and we're overthinking it?
Right. I feel like we're overthinking this. Also, yeah, Jordan Morgan. He's been good for many years.
Imagine that. All right, Jordan Morgan, 27. There you go. So the Bills are sitting here at 28. Brian Thomas Jr.?
Yeah. I don't think he makes it here, but yes, in this scenario, he has to be the pick. I think this pick will come down to Adonai Mitchell, Xavier Legette, and Xavier Worthy. But how would we pass on Brian Thomas Jr. in this spot?
I think Xavier Worthy's going in the first round. I think he's a lock. I just don't know where to put him.
It's just the Bills can't pass on Brian Thomas Jr. unless something's really wrong there.
Yeah. All right, Brian Thomas Jr. to the Bills, 28. Lions, 29. I honestly think this is Darius Robinson.
That's been hot for a while.
Yeah, I really do think that this is Darius Robinson. He just, again, from Bruce Feldman's NFL Draft Confidential, and obviously it's not the Bible. Like he's just polling sources, but like they're raving about this dude, man, raving about him.
Was it the Lions specifically, or just the NFL?
No, the NFL.
Yeah,
just
NFL
like anonymous him. NFL sources, man.
The NFL loves him.
They love this dude. Love him. I think it's going to be Darius Robinson.
I'll roll with you on that. It seems kind of nuts, but not nuts. Baltimore at 30.
Offensive tackle. I think it's offensive tackle. I think it has to be. Ronnie Stanley's in the last year of his deal. He suffered ankle injuries 2 out of the last 3 years. Daniel Falele is their right tackle. I mean, they have to draft an offensive tackle.
The question is, like, what fits their DNA? Do you think this is a Suamataia pick?
Him or Guyton.
He plays guard this year?
Yeah, him or Guyton.
What did I have them do? Graham Barton fell to them in my mock draft, so that was kind of easy.
Yeah, that is easy. I'm going to go Guyton. I think Guyton's higher consensus.
Sure. He should be.
Yeah, I think they're going. I think they are going offensive tackle though. Everything I feel like I have read and heard has them going offensive tackle. Niners at 31.
I had a big surprise in this spot.
Okay, talk to me.
I had Mikey Sanders still.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think corner is very in play for them, and I just think his playmaking ability is something that would attract the 49ers. Now, to be fair, I also had Kool-Aid off the board in my mock draft there. We do not have Kool-Aid off the board in this mock draft. I want to be fair to that.
I do think Kool-Aid makes a ton of sense. Oh, excuse me. Lack of sleep, folks. I think that Kool-Aid does make a ton of sense for them.
Right.
Man,
Who's the next guy?
I think Worthy's getting in the first round, though.
So we have him and Mitchell battling it out for the next pick.
No, we don't. I'm going to be honest, because I think the Chiefs are going offensive tackle.
So where the hell did either of them go?
It's a great question, brother.
And who are the Chiefs taking? You just think they're just going to take Suamatia and be like, whatever, we don't care?
I think they're going offensive tackle.
All right. So what are we doing here first? Kool-Aid?
Probably.
It's kind of hard to not have Kool-Aid come off the board.
Yeah. Kool-Aid McKinstry makes a lot of sense for this team.
Final pick.
Kingsley Suamatia or Xavier Worthy? Pick one.
I mean, Adonai Mitchell.
I mean, it could be A.D. Mitchell. In the spirit of,
I would pick, if you're asking me to truly pick between those two, it's Worthy.
I think Worthy is the most likely guy to go in the first round of those guys that are left.
Yeah.
I'm scrolling the board. Where is Worthy also going to, where's he going to come off the board?
The Bills is the only one I have. And we had Brian Thomas Jr. fall.
But the Bills,
so that
Bills are really is it not to, cold weather Northeast team, they're going to draft.
I wouldn't do it.
They're going to draft
Xavier Worthy. I made the Christmas
Worthy?
story joke about this. I don't this is not. No, they should take a big wide receiver. But I'm just saying he's in play there. I just don't think it's going to happen. I think it's going to be Leggett or Mitchell.
I think if anything, it might be the Cowboys at 24.
That would be very oh, okay, yeah. But we're far gone.
We are far gone. Too far gone, even. I think it's offensive tackle.
Wow. This is a big reach. No matter how you slice it, it is a massive reach.
I feel like the league's higher on these guys than we are at this point.
I think the league's higher on Suamatia and Rosengarten.
For sure, yeah.
I don't get that feel about Amagaji.
Nope. I think I like Amagaji, but I think he's a day two guy firmly.
Yeah.
I think Brandon Coleman and Blake Fisher are the same. I think those are day two guys.
Yep.
But I do think Rosengarten's going to be a surprise.
I think he's going really early.
Oh, man.
Do we do it?
No way, do we?
No, I don't agree with this at all. I'm taking the wide receiver. You're the one that put me here at tackle. I'm in a pit of shit right now. I don't like any of this. Do we?
They can't pick Xavier Worthy.
Adonai Mitchell's right there.
Fine.
It's our worst, my worst nightmare. This is great for you. You like Mitchell. He's going to be a star there.
It's a predictive mock draft. I don't know if it happens. I guess I could see it. There it is. Look at the freaking screen.
Oh, God.
Final first round predictive mock draft. Every pick's right. Run to FanDuel. Please don't do that.
Influencing gambling? Great idea.
Could never be us. Let us know what you thought. That was a lot more taxing mentally than I thought. I wonder
really,
what it was
we really worked through that.
We did. That was smoke coming out of the ears there to try to make that happen. But it's just, man, the closer we have gotten to draft weekend, the more nerve-wracking this has become because
it's awful.
We have waited for a trade to drop, right? Are the Vikings moving up? Are the Chargers moving back? And the fact of the matter is, the longer time moved on from the month of March, the more it became a reality that nobody's going to move until Thursday night. Yep. Nobody's going to move. And here we are. It's a beautiful time of year. We would love to hear what you thought of our mock draft. The best way to do that, in the YouTube comment section, youtube.com/@NFL Stock Exchange. If you're audio only, you can hit us up on Twitter and also Instagram, @ConnorJRogers, @TampaBayTrey. Yeah, we would love to hear y'all's first round predictions as well. For your, either your favorite team, what you think your favorite team is going to do, or just a feeling of, shoot, maybe y'all got sources. Look, Reddit bullied Vegas a year ago into making Will Levis the highest odds to go number 2 overall. We know you guys got sources. We know
those
people
are great
got sources.
sources. Look how it turned out.
Hold on. I'm trying to influence bets via our comment section. I'm trying to have articles written of people who are in our comment section saying, no. My mailman grew up and is best friends with Raheem Morris. Raheem Morris told him in confidence, and then he obviously told me because he's my mail guy and we have a good relationship, so we're cool. He gives me all the mail and also the NFL source news that I'm looking for. We know you guys are out there doing that, so hit us in the comment section. Let us know. Let us know all the good stuff. But yeah, that's our first round mock draft. Man, I'm so excited for Thursday night, man. I really am. As much as I love these exercises, as much as I love these shows, Connor, I'm even more excited to just see it play out. We've done so many of these now. Tell us what's going to happen. That's what I'm looking for.
Watching it play out is going to be incredible. And then a reminder for everybody that we will be live on the channel after the draft.
Live, baby.
I cannot emphasize that enough. I need to get home. Trevor needs to get off the PFF desk. But when we are done with our draft work during the actual draft, we will be live on the NFL Stock Exchange channel that night after round 1.
Dude, the instant reaction shows are just absolute gold. I can't wait for it. So yeah, like Connor said, live show right after night 1. But for night 1 of the draft, come hang out on the PFF NFL show over at the PFF YouTube channel. Obviously, hang out with Connor as well. Y'all got multiple screens. Look, it's 2022. I know y'all listen to this. You got laptops, you got computers, you got tablets, you got phones. Pull both of them up. Pull both of them up and just somehow get in the lobby for the live draft show afterwards while you do. Pull up 3 screens. Are you a true addict or not? I don't know. You guys say you are in the comments.
Prove yourself.
I'm just kidding. You know I love you guys no matter how you watch. But yeah, check out the NBC NFL draft content that they have over there with Connor doing that. Also, come hang out with the PFF NFL folks as we are on the desk covering night 1 of the NFL draft. But buddy, I'm just excited to see how it all plays out. Excited to talk about this with you guys afterwards. Again, the post-draft show is one of my favorite that we do every single year because the emotions, the craziness, the sleep deprivation, the hunger levels. I mean, it's just in an all-time high, and you're going to get as high of entertainment as you possibly can. Anything else before we get out of here?
Echo everything you said. I can't wait. It's hard to believe this is the last time you and I are talking on air before 32 of these guys are on NFL teams. It is going to be an awesome night. Thank you, everyone, for sticking with us. Thank you in advance to everybody that's going to stay up late and party with us at like 12:30, 1 a.m., whenever the hell we're on in the middle of the night Thursday. Whew. I promise you it will be worth it. We'll be alive. We will be ready. We will be excited. So we will catch all you guys then.
28K followers, subscribers on the YouTube channel. We love y'all so much for hitting another milestone in draft week. Just means so much to us, but we're not even close to done yet. Got an exciting weekend coming up. I'm Trevor. That's Connor. Thank you guys so much for watching and listening to the NFL Stock Exchange podcast. We will see you after night 1 of the 2024 NFL draft. See you guys then.